Hello everyone. Good evening to all of you. I'm here again. I'm Kat to discuss to you the week 2 of our module, first quarter, week 2. So, ngayon ko ipapaliwanag kung paano ba gagawin yung week 2. To all my students, please watch this video. It would help a lot for you to solve and answer all the learning task for week 2. So, kung hindi pa kayo nakasubscribe sa YouTube channel ko, please subscribe now and do not forget to hit the notification bell para lagi kayo na notified sa bagong video. So, let's start. Alright, it's Math 6, first quarter, week 2. So, this week we are going to multiply simple fractions and mixed fractions. So after going through this module, you are expected to multiply simple fractions and mixed fractions. Multiplying fractions are just like multiplying numbers. To multiply fractions, you have to multiply the numerators and then multiply also the denominators of the fractions to be multiplied. If the product is in an improper fraction, make sure to simplify it or reduce it to its lowest term. Reduce the fraction to lowest term. So now we have here the learning task number 1. This is just to identify if the students have already knowledge on how to multiply fraction. Now, let us try this number 1. So number 1 is 3/4 times 1/2. So as we have read a while ago, that multiplying fraction is just simply multiplying the numerators and multiply the denominators. Now let's multiply the numerator. We have 3 times 1 is 3. Then 4 times 2 is 8. So therefore the answer is 3/8. Just simply multiply the numerators. Let's have another example because you are to solve these numbers. So I will not going to give this an example, the number 2 to 5. Let us have another example. We have 2/7 times 3/5. So we have 2 times 3 is 6 and 7 times 5 is 35. Let's have another example. Let's have example number 2. Let's have 4/9 times 5/12. So we have 4 times 5 is 20 and 9 times 12 is 108. So they can be both divided by 4. So let's divide 20 by 4 and 108 by 4. But make sure na isang number lang yung gagamitin yung divisor, or it is the greatest common factor of the numerator and the denominator. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. And 108 divided by 4 is 27. So the answer is 5/27. Let's have another example. Example number 3. Let's have 1/8 times 4/6. So we have 1 times 4 is 4. And then 6 times 8 is 48. The answer is 4/48, but still it can be expressed in lowest term. So can be divided by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 48 divided by 4 is 12. The answer is 112. This is for learning task number 1. Now let us proceed to the next slide. Alright, for this slide, so we have the cancellation method, or it can be another method. For this slide, we have the cancellation method. So cancellation method can be applied before multiplying fractions so that the product is already in lowest term. You can apply the cancellation if there is a common factor in the numerator, if there is a common factor in the numerator and in the denominator. Let's have the example number 1. Example number 1, multiply 4 fifths and 10 elevenths. So this is our given. So here, possible numerator and denominator to cancel are 4 and 5, 10 and 11, 4 and 11, or 5 and 10. They are the pair of fractions that can be possibly can be cancelled out. So the pair of numerator and denominator with common factor is 5 and 10. So sila lang yung dalawa na numbers sa numerator, isang denominator na may common factor. What is the common factor of 5 and 10? And the common factor is 5. Therefore, divided by 5. So let's have here. We have 4 fifths times 10 elevenths. So since 10 and 5 can be both divided by 5, 10 divided by 5 is 2, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. So now here we have 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 times 11 is 11. Therefore, the answer is 8 elevenths. So that is the cancellation method. Let's have another example. Let's have example of 6 sevenths times 2 eighteenths. So here, let's have a pair of number that has common factor, which is 6 and 18. They are both divisible by 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. So tandaan, isang number lang yung ipang-divide mo sa numerator at denominator, which is their common factor. Now here, wala na si 6, wala na si 18. 6 was replaced by 1 and 18 replaced by 3. So we have here 1 times 2 is 2, and 7 times 3 is 21. So that's it. That's the answer, 2 for 21. So this is the cancellation method. Now, let's go back with the next slide. Oh, here. So learning task number 2. Multiply the given fraction. Use cancellation method. Write your answer in your notebook. So here, in our number 1, I'm going to show you the answer for number 1. We have 4 fifths times 10 11s. Actually, this is our example a while ago. But still, let us review how to multiply using cancellation method. 5 and 10 are pair of numbers that can be both divisible by 5. So, yung 5 at 10, pwedeng i-cancel kasi parehas silang pwedeng i-divide sa 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So, wala na si 5 at si 10. Napalitan siya ng 2 and 1. So, now let us multiply the new numbers. We have 4 times 2. We have 4 times 2 equals 8. And 1 times 11 is 11. Therefore, the answer is 8 11ths. Wala na po siyang lowest term. So now, you're going to answer number 2, 3, 4, and 5 using cancellation method. Let's have another example. No, I've already given you 3 examples. Now, let's proceed to the next slide. Aside from multiplying fraction by another fraction, we can also perform the following types. Number 1 is multiply fraction by a whole number, and vice versa. It can be a whole number by a fraction. Number 2 is multiplication of fraction by a mixed number. And number 3 is multiplication of whole number by a mixed number. And number 4 is multiplication of mixed number by another mixed number. So in our first example, we have 3/5 times 8. That is multiplying fraction by a whole number. So let us explain. So since our fraction is 3/5, we just copy 3/5. And 8 is a whole number. Whole number always has a denominator of 1. So lagi siyang may 1. So now let us proceed. We have 3 times 8 is 24. 5 times 1 is 5. The answer is 24 over 5. So as you can see, it is an improper fraction. We can still express this into mixed number. So what is 24 divided by 5? Paano ginagawang mixed number? We have 24 divided by 5 is 4. Times 5 is 20. Remainder 4. So itong 4 na to will be the whole number, which is 4. And the remainder will be the numerator. And the denominator is 5. So this is our answer. We have 4 and 4/5. How about let us explain this second example. We have 5, 6 multiplied by 3 and 1/2. So this is a fraction multiplied by a mixed fraction. So just copy 5, 6. But 3 and 1/2, we cannot multiply fractions in mixed number or in mixed form. So we are going to change 3 and 1/2 into improper fraction, which is 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1, 7. Copy the denominator, 2. Alright? And then, let's proceed to multiplication. Kung nagawa nyo na siyang improper fraction, pwede na mag-multiply. 5 times 7 is 35. 6 times 2 is 12. And still, 35/12 is an improper fraction. Let us change this improper fraction to a mixed number. Ilang 12 meron sa 35? There are 2. That is 24. So the answer is 2. Remainder 11 over 12. So we have 2 and 11 twelfths is the answer. Alright. Now let us proceed to the next slide. This is learning task number 3. Look at the example in number 1. It is a whole number. So 6 will become 6 over 1. Learning task number 2. A whole number, 24. This will become 24 over 1. While here, we have 3 terms or 3 given. Let's have an example wherein we have 3 givens. Example. 1/5 times 25 times 3/4. Oh, now we have here 3. So we have 1/5 times 25 is a whole number will become 25 over 1 times 3/4. You can also use cancellation method here. Or pwede rin namang hindi mag-cancel out. Basta kapag hindi ka nag-cancel out, you always express the answer in those terms. So here, pwede natin i-cancel yung 25 and 5, which is divided both by, which can be divided both by 5. Divided by 5 is 1. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So nawala na si 5 at 25. So 1. Fourths, or let us divide. How many 4 are there in 45? We have 11 and 1/4. The answer . So that's it. So you can now do the activity or learning task number 3. And then let's have the next slide. Here, it was stated here that aside from the symbol X, we can also use the symbol and the parentheses to indicate multiplication. Also, the phrases times. So kapag narinig niyo yung word na times, that means multiplication. And the word the product of is also multiplication and multiplied by. Ibig sabihin, pag narinig nyo itong mga terms na ito at saka phrases, that means multiplication. And also the word of, that means multiplication too. So now, let us have the example. Instead of 3/4 times 1/2, it could be written in any of the following. So, pwede nating palitan yung symbol na to. Pwede nating palitan nito, dot, yung dot na nasa gitna. Pero hindi siya nasa baba. Kapag nasa baba kasi yung decimal point na siya. Here, it is a point at the middle of 2 numbers. So, we have 1/2 times 3/4. Parehas lang yun. And then we can also use the parentheses. Parentheses 1/2 and parentheses 3/4 means 1/2 times 3/4. And we can also use the word or the term 1/2 times 3/4. Or we can write this as, in a word phrase, the product of 1/2 and 3/4. Pwede pala yun. Or we can have 1/2 multiplied by 3/4 and 1/2 of 3/4. Let's have another example. Example is 2/5 times 1/3. We can write that as 2/5 times 1/3, parenthesis 2/5 times 1/3, or we can have the 2/5 times 1/3, or we can write the product of 2/5 and 1/3, or 2/5 multiplied by 1/3 and 2/5 of 1/3. Parehas lang ang sagot nan. They have all both answers of 2 times 1 is 2 and 5 times 3 is 15. Kahit magkakaiba ng representation, parehas lang ang sagot. So, yun lang yung ibig sabihin na nandito sa ating module, that the symbol X can be replaced by these symbols and these phrases. Now, let's proceed to the next slide. Alright, so this is learning task number 4. You are going to answer the following. Multiply each of the following. Use cancellation method if possible. Then write your answer in your notebook. So look at the example here. So dito, pwede nyo na siyang isolve lang nakaganito. Yung number 1 at saka number 2, pwede nyo na siyang i-diretsyong isolve. Pero syempre, yung number 3, the number 3 given uses the word or the phrase multiplied by. So, papalitan nyo rin yung phrase na yun, which is 8 3/4 times 2/9 para ma-isolve. And then number 4, we can also use this directly. Pwede nyo nang gamitin yung parenthesis pag multiply. So, ganun lang gagawin dun sa learning task number 4. Bigay tayong example na nakaparenthesis. 4/8 times 3/4. Here, parenthesis ang ginamit ko, pwedeng cancel, maging 1. So we have 1 times 3 is 3. 8 times 1 is 8. The answer is 3/8. So kahit nakaparenthesis, pwede mo na siyang isolve. Kung tatlo naman, we have 2/5 times 10/12 times 1/3. So, pwede natin i-cancel si 10 at pi, magiging 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Pwede i-cancel si 12 at 2. Magiging 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Pwede ba i-cancel si 6 at si 3? Can we cancel out 6 and 3? No, because they are both denominators. Hindi pwede, para silang nasa baba. That isang nasa baba, denominator, at isang numerator. Now, let's proceed. 1 times 2 is 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 6 is 6 times 3 is 18. We still have the lowest term, which is 1, 9. Bakit hindi naka-lowest term agad? Di ba na-cancel naman tayo? Kasi we still have here 2 at 6 na pwede pang i-cancel out. So, okay lang yun. Pero basta, we need to express the answer in lowest term. So now, it's your turn to answer the learning task number 4. Let's proceed to the next slide.